Hello and welcome here to Talk SCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys, as we have another video here today, and we are going to be talking about squad depth, about Barcelona first team squad, and what needs to be done really in these final weeks of the transfer window to get this squad ready to compete on all fronts next season. But most importantly, it does need to be trimmed. Right now, Valverde's squad is far too big, and although we want many options, it's important going into the season to have a squad that's the perfect size. We're going to be discussing in this video who still needs to leave, who could be on the way out, and I'm going to be giving you guys at the end a chance to decide who stays and who goes. So first of all, guys, if you did see my Champions League video and basically how I thought Barcelona could recapture the big years this season, it's all about squad depth. It's all about using your squad in the most efficient way. And basically, right now on Barcelona's official website, there are 27 first-team players listed on that website. 27, which is far, far too many. It's as simple as that. There should not be that many players heading into your squad for the new season. That number there needs to be around 22, maybe 23 at a push, because you've got to remember 18 players are named in the official matchday squad on any given fixture. Only 18, 11 in the starting lineup, 7 on the bench and in the substitutes. Everybody else is either left at home or they're just in the stands watching. So many of those players, if you looked at it now, 9 of those players would be left out of the squad altogether, which is far too many. And it really is so important and so vital going into a season to find that perfect balance between having good squad depth, good options available to you, but also keeping your squad at a manageable level, a manageable size. That's really important. And as we spoke about in that Champions League video, you've got to keep every single member of that squad motivated, happy, and ready to compete for their position. They have to feel important. It is impossible to keep your entire squad happy if your squad is too big. So trimming the squad, getting it down to size, and keeping it manageable with players that can all play a part in the season is absolutely vital right now for Barcelona. And to do that, we have got to sell, we have got to get rid of, I would say, still 4 to 5 players. Those have got to go. We've got to trim the squad, we've got to get it down a bit, and then you've got a squad which is manageable for Valverde that he can use in the season. It gives him options, and every single one of those players will feel like they can play a part, and they will be motivated. So we are going to start here with the goalkeepers right now, of which we do have 2 confirmed goalkeepers going into the season. Jasper Cillessen, of course, the second goalkeeper right now, and Marc-Andre ter Stegen. We currently do not have a third goalkeeper. That right now is undecided. Cillessen's future as well is still up in the air, but 2 goalkeepers is fine, 3 is the ideal, and I'm sure we'll have that come the start of the season. In terms of right back, we've currently got 2 first team right backs, Semedo of course, and Sergio Roberto, who will also play there and potentially split his role between there and midfield. And we also have new signing Wage, who's of course gone into Barcelona B, but could feature in the first team perhaps as the season goes on towards the end. So I think that's a good setup there at right back. You've got 2 comfortable players, 1 in Barcelona B, and it's exactly the same sort of story in the left back position. Right now we only have 1 registered player in the first team at left back. That's of course Jordi Alba, following the departure of Lucas Digne, but either Miranda or Cucurella will be that backup left back, and right now it does look like Juan Miranda will get the nod if nobody else is brought in. And if that does happen, Marc Cucurella is extremely likely to leave the club on a permanent deal. We've had offers for him. There have been a number of offers to come in from around Europe, particularly the Bundesliga. Cucurella, if he's not promoted this season to the first team, will not continue at Barcelona B. He will be sold. And then you move on to the centre-back department. Ideally there, of course, you're usually setting up with 2 centre-backs, so you really want 4 as the season goes on. You've got 2 that you start with, 1 in rotation and 1 as a backup if there's injuries, if there's suspensions. We've got Gerard Piqué, we've got Samuel Umtiti. Lenglet, of course, has come in, looks like a good signing, and we'll add a lot of depth there at centre-back. And Thomas Vermaelen, who was very reliable last season, will provide very good backup. We've also right now on the books got Marlon, who I think is extremely likely to leave the club. He's been linked with a move to Serie A, and also Yerry Mina, who looks very likely as well to leave the club, with a move to Everton or Manchester United on the cards right now. And then you move into the defensive midfield position. Of course, you've got Sergio Busquets, who is absolutely nailed down for that position, but also you've got Sergi Samper and you have Andre Gomez, who could play in that position. There are other players as well who could play in that particular role, but I label these three really as the out-and-out defensive midfielders. I would say we need two in that role. I would personally go with Busquets and Sergi Samper. Samper, for me, deserves a chance. He's never really got one at Barcelona, and I would personally put him ahead of Andre Gomez. Given what we've seen in the last few seasons, Gomez has had his chance time and time again, but hasn't quite delivered. I would still look to sell him this summer, even though he's currently carrying an injury. But one of those two, I think, we will see leave the club in the coming weeks. And then you move into centre midfield, where we do have an absolute abundance of options, which of course is a very good thing. We want good options in midfield, and a lot of them are very different types of players too. You will usually start, of course, with two centre midfielders, two ahead of the defensive one, or if we're playing maybe a 4-4-2, you can have more players in the middle or wide midfielders if Valverde chooses to go with that route. You've got Rakitic, you've got Arthur Melo, the new signing, Arturo Vidal, Sergio Roberto if he plays there, Rafinha can play central, Denis Suarez as well, and Carlos Alenia, don't forget, once he returns from his injury in a few months' time. So clearly, very, very stacked there in midfield. Potentially, you'd be looking to move maybe one of those on, but the big question, who exactly do you choose? A lot of options there, not many slots available. Will all those players get the game time that they crave? And then you move on to natural wingers. Now, the reason I didn't put Coutinho in that midfield is because I genuinely believe that Valverde wants to play him in the front three. We saw that at the end of last season. Maybe Valverde in this campaign will put Coutinho back in midfield, but I think right now he's going to start as a wide player, and there I think we need about three players. You've got Coutinho, you've got Dembele, you've got Malcom, who are all very capable of playing in those wide roles in a 4-3-3. They'll be absolutely perfect setup, either on the left, either on the right. You've also got Rafinha as well. I'd put him in that sort of bracket. He can play in the front three and as a wide role when he needs to. So there you've got four options. Probably three is all you need, but Rafinha as a utility player, he can play in midfield, he can play wide as well. A very welcome addition to Ernesto Valverde. And then finally, you have your forward players, and I would say right now Messi as a false nine would go into that bracket. Right now we have four players available, and I would say you need to trim this to just three players. Given the abundance that we have in our wider roles, we only need three out-and-out centre forwards. Messi is that false nine. Luis Suarez, of course, is going to stay at the club. Then you've got Paco Alcácer and Munir El Haddadi currently at the club. I think only one of those can remain, but the big question will be, and it will be over to you guys very shortly, which one stays at Barca? And of course, with all that said and done, those are just the first team players that I have mentioned right now. You do have some options when you look down to Barcelona B of players that could come up and actually take that chance and give themselves a game in the first team. Ricky Puig springs to mind, of course, absolutely phenomenal over the course of pre-season. I think we'll definitely see him get some first team games over the course of the season. And even somebody like Jose Arnaiz, who actually is still at the club right now. He has been reportedly very close to leaving, but he hasn't done that yet. And if he doesn't end up leaving, you would certainly consider him an option in this team. So in summary, guys, with all that said and done, with all those positions analysed and the amount of players that you need in those particular roles, I would say there are three players right now that I would say are about 90% certain to leave the club. Marlon, I think, will definitely be on his way, and of course you've got to look into the non-EU rule as well when you look at these players. Three players were allowed who are non-EU rated, and those have all been taken up with our summer acquisitions. Arthur, Arturo Vidal and Malcom are our three non-EU players. That means that Marlon and Yerry Mina simply cannot stay at the club. I think Marlon will leave. I think Yerry Mina will certainly leave in the coming days. And I also think Marc Cucurella is going to be on his way out of the club. Valverde seems to have made up his mind. He prefers Miranda. The club reportedly would have preferred Cucurella to get the nod, but Valverde very intent on playing Miranda, and that will leave the club now listening to offers for Cucurella, and he does have them. And of course he's not going to play at Barcelona B, who got relegated, and will be playing in the tier lower in the Segunda B this season. And then, like I say, guys, it is over to you then to decide who leaves in the following roles. I said one of them would leave. Would it be Sergi Samper in the holding midfield role, or would we shift Andre Gomez this summer either to the Premier League, got a day or so to do it, or back to his former club Valencia? Who would you sell or loan, or however you want to do it? Who should leave the club between Sergi Samper and Andre Gomez? There will be a poll in this video, and there will be a poll on my community section, so please check that out and vote who you think we should get rid of this summer. And also, a very important question in the attacking roles. Who should leave the club, Paco Alcácer or Munir El Haddadi. That one is a tough one. Munir, of course, had his chance throughout pre-season. So did Paco. We're still looking to move Paco Alcácer on, but as of right now, no suitable offers. Who would you choose to get rid of? Paco Alcácer or Munir El Haddadi? Make sure you get voting on that. And there is as well one more debate that I will leave you with, guys, and that is this. Should either Rafinha Alcantara or Denis Suarez, should either of those two players be leaving the club this summer? And I ask you that simply because you saw the midfield list. You saw the midfield options that we have in the centre of the field, players who are going to be playing there week in, week out. Will either of these two get the minutes they deserve? And if they're not going to, should they then be moved out of the club? Would you sell either of them? Would you loan either of them? Please do let me know in the comments down below. And like I say, I will have some polls up for you guys so that you can get involved in the voting. But that is basically what I've made of the Barcelona squad so far. Like I say, it is looking a good squad. We do look to have some really, really good options, and we've done good business this summer, but it is so important now that we do trim it, we get it down to size, and we give Valverde a manageable squad to take on this vital season. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Thank you for your incredible support. Welcome to all of the new subscribers. I really, really do appreciate the support here, guys. Thank you once again for coming back. I will see you with more videos soon, but until then, as always, Vasca El Barça!